Hey everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and I just wanted to make a fairly brief video talking about I guess you could say it's unfortunate, unfortunate news that the Total War Warhammer 2 DLC for the Wood Elves has been pushed back rather substantially. A lot of people on the Discord and in the live streams wanted to know my thoughts on the matter, so I promised everyone that I would just kind of throw together a video today talking about my reaction and concerns and, just kind of get everything out in the open about this particular matter. Now, I won't lie, the first time that I saw the news, I just completely blanked on it. Like I saw yesterday that they had pushed back the DLC, but my brain did not understand how far they had pushed it back. But today on Twitter, they kind of just came right out, because I think originally it was confirmed by Grace over on the subreddit. But on Twitter, they finally just flat out came out today and were like, hey guys, we're backing it up to December. And I gotta say, that shocked me a little bit. My reaction was basically this.
Oh, I'm okay.
But joking aside, I'm definitely disappointed. I'm not gonna, sit here and just be like, about that. I felt really confident that we were gonna be getting the Wood Elves Lord Pack in October. I felt super confident about that. So to hear that it's literally been pushed back anywhere from 30 to, well, at least 45 days, is shocking, to say the least, and disappointing. However, that being said, as much as it is a little bit of a gut punch, I am ultimately happy with this news. As weird as that is to say. I'm not happy that it has to be pushed back, but I am happy that Creative Assembly is making the decision to do what's best for the content instead of what's best for a timescale. I don't know if I worded that well. What I mean is, what Creative Assembly could have just stuck to an arbitrary timeline and released the DLC like here in October, because that's kind of when everyone felt really good about it coming out, and it could have been just like a big jumbled mess. And I think that would have been the wrong decision. If they feel confident that they need to push back the release until December so that it can be bug free and have really good satisfying content and be the Wood Elf free LC update that we need, in addition to adding new content for the Wood Elves and whoever it is they're facing, okay. I mean, I don't think there is no argument against that. At the end of the day, if they need to, I want them to do what they need to do to ensure we get the best product possible. As much as I loved the Warden and the Paunch, and I think a lot of people did, it had absolutely amazing atmosphere. It was a really, really desired matchup. It, of course, brought us back to the Game 1 versus Game 2 formula, which is what all of the DLC should have been. Looking at you, Snitch and Mouse. But at the end of the day, Grom and Eltharion were good, but they honestly were not great. The Warden and the Paunch was super buggy. That was probably one of the buggiest releases we've had for Total War Warhammer in a hot minute. I mean, it was rough. A lot of features just either weren't working. Well, everything worked, but there were a lot of problems. And not just for single player. I mean, the multiplayer was a complete mess as well. A lot of issues were present in that DLC, and it took months to get everything cleaned up and fixed. Granted, I think the pandemic played really heavy into that, and I honestly think that the Warden and the Paunch was a good example of CA trying to meet a deadline as opposed to meeting a quality of product. And looking back across a lot of the Lord packs especially for Warhammer 2, honestly, that kind of has been the case for most of them, to be frank. I mean, I'm not saying this to like bring anybody down or to harp, but just like to explain why I think this was the best decision, pushing back the Wood Elf DLC 2 more months, is that honestly, look at the other DLCs we've gotten for Warhammer 2 and tell me that each one of them has not been like half-baked, essentially. You know, we go back and look at Tehenwan versus Ikit Claw. That was grotesque how half-baked it was. The Tehenwan side, Tehenwan has a really janky model. His campaign is super bare bones, and it's missing super basic content decisions that I don't know how they possibly came to the decision that that was okay to release. Other than clearly they reached a point where somebody said, okay, we have to release this right now, and it wasn't ready. Same thing happened with Nakai versus Marcus Wolfhard. We got a lot of really amazing, cool Empire stuff, and a really bland, unsatisfying Lizardmen campaign with a lot of problems. Unfortunately, the Lizardmen have been rather cursed when it comes to DLC, to be frank. Beyond that, even though, you look at Deathmaster Snitch versus Malice Darkblade, which never should have happened. And on that one, Deathmaster Snitch, super fun, fulfilling campaign with a lot of cool stuff. Malice not so much. Malice had problems. On top, if I recall correctly, Malice had some bug issues, but his campaign is really not enjoyable for a lot of people. It didn't really have a lot of crazy flair. And I feel like this has been happening over and over and over again. And a lot of the times we get these Lord packs, especially, they just don't feel done. And although a lot of development seems to go into them, I don't know how long the Wood Elf DLC... I don't know how long any of the DLCs have been in development before they come out. Obviously, Total War keeps that close to the chest. I don't think they would want to put out that information, honestly, because let's be real, if the community was like, oh, you put 8 months into the Wood Elf DLC, but you only put 5 months into Prophet and the Warlock, people would throw a fit. It wouldn't be a good look. So we don't have that kind of information. But what I will say is I am hoping that this is a sign that for Warhammer products at least, we can hopefully have some greater faith that Creative Assembly is focusing more on quality over purely focusing on a timescale. Now, I will say that this may unfortunately be a unique instance, or fortunately or unfortunately, I guess it depends on how you look at it. It could be that this is just happening because of the pandemic. CA is mostly working from home, so maybe because of the difficulties that have come with that, it's just taken them considerably longer than they expected to have everything in the condition they want it to be. But honestly, I think it's more of quality assurance, to be frank. I think that I think they were keenly aware of the feedback that came with the Warden and the Paunch. And a lot of the DLCs before that. It's becoming noticeable, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is that, I mean, I feel like if you go back to Warhammer 1, while the Lord packs were super, super bland and just not interesting, they were balanced. Like, if I get the King and the Warlord, I don't feel like Skarsnik's experience is really that intrinsically different than Belegar's. They're both interesting but very, very difficult campaigns. Volkmar and Helman Gorst are both kind of boring. But, Helman Gorst. But you kind of see what I mean, though, in that I feel that in Game 2, we've kind of gotten into this weird position where Lord packs have had a very messy and chaotic quality. And I'm hoping that what we're seeing with this move is that Creative Assembly is going to do what it takes to make sure that the products are clean, ready to go, and relatively bug-free. I mean, it's a Total War game, so I don't think it'll ever be bug-free. The game is just so freakishly massive that I just genuinely think it's impossible to iron out all the bugs. But I would like to see things like as clean as they could be. You know, I would like for when this DLC drops and the free DLC that comes with it, for the multiplayer aspects to be mostly squeaky clean, so that they can start having they can take advantage of the hype of new content and be able to pump out lots of crazy tournaments and stuff, because that's an important aspect of our community. And, you know, I hope that the single player aspects are nice and smooth, because for a lot of streamers, myself included, and content creators, that's an important part of our community. And we don't want bad content. And while I would not say that Warden and the Paunch was bad, I would say that Hunter and the Beast was bad. Well, at least the Beast side. Prophet and the Warlock, I would say the Prophet side was bad. That has happened frequently. And hopefully this is going to be a DLC that we can feel really, really confident about being good. I will say that I really hope that they're giving us this December date, because that's when it'll be great, and not that's when it will be just like functional. Because I'll be honest, you know, if we roll around to December and this thing is like a barely held together mess, yeah, it's not gonna be a good look. So overall, I would sum up my thoughts that I sympathize with everyone who's disappointed by the news. However, I think ultimately this was absolutely the right decision, and I 100% stand behind Creative Assembly on it. I do not think this is happening because of like some horrible secret thing. I think this is simply due to working from home and quality assurance. I hope that's what it is. Obviously, you know, a lot of people don't believe anything a company will tell them at face value, but I really, really hope that this is a good sign of things to come from Creative Assembly. You know, especially when I think about Warhammer 3, or I'll rephrase that. When I think about the release of Warhammer 2, and that it was fun, but just like a colossal mess, especially the whole Norska and Mortal Empires debacle, I never want to go through that again. That was horrible. It was so bad. And it was awful. It was awful for everybody. And it felt like it dragged the entire community down for like a year, or at least months. So I'm hoping that with the Wood Elves DLC being pushed back, we can not only feel confident about this DLC, but any DLCs that remain for Warhammer 2, and also the release of Warhammer 3. I would love for Warhammer 3 to come out with Immortal Empires, or whatever the hell it's going to be called, and be like functioning and ready to go out the gate, because they know what we expect at this point. And I would rather them delay as much as they need to give us a good product than give in to like the whining and the hype and release something that is not ready. So hopefully that kind of gets my thoughts and my point across on it. I would love to know what you guys think. I mean, obviously, I can imagine everyone's a little bit sad, but do you think this is a good decision? Do you think they should have just shot it out the door? And if so, why? I would love to know what y'all think about this news, other than probably being like, oh, I want my Wood Elves. I will say, Total War, if you happen to watch this, which, you know, I don't know. But if Creative Assembly does happen to watch this, I would really like for us to at least start getting teased. You know, if you're going to have us wait till December, totally fine. Give us something to do. You know, put out some teasers with some hints about, like, maybe who the Wood Elves are going to fight, or who the Free LC Lord is, even though I feel pretty confident from that goofy-ass pun you used to strike ya. but like give us hints about like who the legendary lords are. Maybe one a week. Just drop little breadcrumbs to give people something to do, something to think about, and like give us a gradual hype train. I think the main reason so many people are frustrated with this DLC is just because it was borderline announced months ago, and a lot of people are like, okay, come on, like you told us about it, where the hell is it? And instead of kind of teasing us along the way. But that would be a good time to start that, I think. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a lovely day. Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.